Greetings and salutations to everybody out there in podcast land. We start this week's edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0 on a somber note as we record here the night of April the 23rd, 2025. A legendary Bears player has passed away.
Recently enshrined Hall of Famer Steve Mongo McMichael lost his battle with ALS at the age of 67 today.
Yep. We were receiving notices during the day that he had been moved to hospice care, and that's never a good sign, but this was very quick, going from that notification to the notification that Mongo had passed away. So you have to indulge us out there. I know there's fans from all different teams and all different cities, but for us Chicago fans, this is a very, very somber moment, a very big deal. So
one of the true legends of Bears football.
Yeah, so if you would indulge us, and please join us in a quick moment of silence for Steve Mongo McMichael. And I tell you what, everybody out there is going, oh my God, they found a way to shut Kev up for a minute.
But guess what? Now it's time for your favorite politically incorrect sports commentary to kick in full frickin' throttle, people.
I do want to make one note, on Steve McMichael, which really kind of shocked me. And maybe this is a little bit selfish on my part and your part as well, as Bears fans. We think, yes, and again, I know there's a whole bunch of fans from a whole bunch of different teams out there, but Dave and I wholeheartedly, 100%, this is one argument you'll never win with us, because we will fight you to the death. The 85 Bears were the greatest team ever. And there is no debate. There is no discussion. I was a little shocked when I heard Mongo was going into hospice. I did some digging.
Yeah.
Only 6 players from that team are in the Hall of Fame.
I know, it's sad, isn't it?
You would think there'd be more.
You would have thought that defense, for as long as they played together, the numbers that they put up through their careers.
And maybe it's biased because of us growing up with that team and watching it every week. But the names: Wilbur Marshall, Gary Fensick,
Doug Plank.
I mean,
Leslie
to us,
Frazier.
those guys, Leslie Frazier, yes, of course. Those guys, you would think, Ron Rivera, Chico.
Yeah.
To us, those guys are immortal. So it hits us a little bit harder when something like this happens. And then again, to just see that only 6, and I was getting a little mad. I'll admit it. God, I never get mad. But I didn't find the answers I was looking for, but I was digging about, don't you goddamn fucking tell me those mid-90s Cowboys have more Hall of Famers than the Bears. Because I will not stand for that. I will not put up with that. But immediately in my head, I'm going, Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, and I'm like, oh shit, that's 3 right there. And we haven't even got to the defense yet. So, I'm not going down that road.
We're not going down that path.
I'm not going to be a bitter man. Too late. Too late!
Already there. One Super Bowl versus multiple Super Bowls, though.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. But still tainted because of Barry Switzer. Still tainted.
Yeah.
Because of that garbage. And that's the curse of Barry Switzer. That's why the Cowboys have never, ever tasted the sweet success since then. Even the Bears got to another Super Bowl. The Cowboys have never gotten to another Super Bowl. And that's because of the curse of Barry Switzer and Jerry Jones's fucking ego. All right, so we move on from the passing of Mongo to the big, most important part of this show, which will be kind of a two-parter because you get the draft preview tonight, And of course, this episode will drop early Thursday morning, April the 24th. And then next week, you get the big, massive recap where we grade the Bears and how they did. And
take a look at what the Dolphins did, what the Bucks did.
Yep. And then, of course, we'll pick out
And
which teams actually looked shrewd and made some very smart moves, and which teams shit the bed. That's what makes the draft. That's what makes the draft so much fun. And of course, tomorrow night we get together, as we always do, Dave and I, along with the elder statesmen, to do our annual draft get together, drink some adult beverages, eat some terrible, awful food that I'm sure next week my doctor will tell me I have to cut out of my life forever.
But one last hurrah.
Yes. So Dave and I are going to spend a few minutes here. We've got the big names. We've got the draft order, and we have the big names.
One of the mock drafts out there.
Right, but this is more reference just for us, so we have the top names.
Yeah.
We know the draft order in the first round, and we can kind of play around with who's going to be there for the Bears, what team, like you just made fun of the Jets. We heard it. What team is going to
Because they are so bad.
What team's going to shit the bed? What team is going to be smart?
Is Cleveland going to brown themselves again?
Well, I think now it is a consensus that the Titans are going to take Cam Ward. I don't think they're going to trade that pick.
No.
I think that's locked, set in stone. And of course, tomorrow night, when we're watching, they'll drag it out to the very last possible second.
Of course, because that's what they're told to do.
We'll be flipping the bird at the TV screen as they do it.
Like, come on. Just stop.
I have no problem with, after the first pick, everybody else taking their time, waiting for offers to come in.
Right.
To see if somebody at the last second will be desperate and throw a boatload of picks to move up. But the first pick, you're going to do this.
Get it over with.
And of course,
that jersey should already have the name on it and ready to go. They should not be making it the night of.
Boy, if I was that guy who bought jerseys outside of the few Bears jerseys I have, man, a Cam Ward Titans jersey, awful tempting for me. Actually, a Cam Ward Hurricanes jersey is what I should have. But so my man Cam Ward going number 1 to the Titans, which is how it should be. I loved hearing about a week ago in interviews he was being asked, who are your favorite current wide receivers in the NFL? And of course, he picked Calvin Ridley number 1 because that's who he's going to be throwing the ball to. So at that point,
so there you go.
At that point, I think I knew it was set in stone.
Yeah.
He threw out the token Jamar Chase at 2 and Justin Jefferson, I think, at 3. And then he said the other Titans wide receiver was 4.
Yeah, so there you go. He knows where he's going.
But after that is when it's going to get interesting.
Now the fun begins.
Because Travis Hunter, is he going to be a cornerback? Is he going to be a wide receiver? He's already putting it out there.
Or is he going to be playing both?
He wants to play both. So do you risk pissing him off by drafting him and then not playing him both ways?
You use him sparingly as a wideout.
And I'm hearing both ways. And when I say both ways, I mean there are some teams that are viewing him primarily as a wide receiver. So they would flip the script on what you're saying, and they would use him as a wide receiver and occasionally
as
on
a
defense.
Corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I just thought he had bigger plays as a corner. But that's just my observations from him.
Then you've got Abdul Carter. Again, things after the number 1 pick are very foggy. I do think Cleveland will take Travis Hunter at 2.
Yeah, they need some help on that back end of the defense.
Now, word is, this is all here. This last week leading up to the draft is all about speculation, and guys like Mel Kiper and Peter Schrager are out there throwing their little, their little monkey clumps of shit against the wall to see if it sticks.
We've heard this, we've heard that. Yeah, who did you hear it from?
Right. So the latest is that the Browns and the Giants at 2 and at 3 are listening to offers.
Yeah, supposedly they're fielding calls.
Do I believe
knows?
it? I don't think I believe it with Cleveland.
No.
I think I believe it with the Giants. Because here's the thing. Over the last month or so, the draft stock for Shedeur Sanders has plummeted.
Or is that just reports? Is it actually real that people don't believe
I know, but I did see something today. Now, anytime you get unnamed sources, that pisses me off a little bit. Be a man, put your name, attach your name to it.
Own it.
But supposedly, I believe an assistant coach and a GM came out either early today or late yesterday and said Shedeur Sanders is the most arrogant, insufferable player they've ever interviewed.
Oh, so he's like his dad.
Well, is that shocking?
No, it's not.
Anybody who's listened to this podcast for the 4 years we've been on knows I hate Deion Sanders.
He is an egotistical prick.
So, yeah, does it shock anybody that his son would be the same way?
No, not at all.
And I think that's a big reason why he is sliding.
And we'll just have to wait and see.
So did the Giants take Shedeur Sanders at 3? Do they take Abdul Carter?
Or do they trade out?
Now see, I could see them trading out. I could. Other speculation says they do take Abdul Carter, but then they flip Kayvon Thibodeau, their other young pass rusher who has underperformed.
Yeah.
And they ship him out and try to trade back into the first round to get one of the other quarterbacks like Jalen Milroe or Jackson Dart. Now this is where things start to impact the Bears at number 4. Then you got the Patriots at 4. The Patriots have their quarterback.
Yep. They do need offensive line help as well.
Now, I think they would take Abdul Carter if he were to slip to 4, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I could see somebody trading up with New York to take Carter, some other team, but I don't think Carter makes it to 4. Now, if he does, that will make this draft unbelievably chaotic.
That makes things very challenging.
But yeah, Will Campbell, along with Armand Membo, the 2 highest rated tackles, offensive tackles, projected to both go in the top 10. Campbell might go ahead of Membo. I've seen both ways.
Flip-flopped, yeah.
But I think New England will take one or the other. I think you're right. I think they will fortify their offensive line to protect Drake May. Then what I have been seeing this last couple days, blowing my mind. We have been assuming. Now, of course, all I keep seeing are reports that the Bears love Ashton Jeanty, the running back out of Boise State. Of course they do.
Who doesn't? Everybody loves him.
He's not going to make it to 10.
No.
Bears fans, we have to accept the fact that Ashton Jeanty is not going to be there. We have to have alternate plans. But we have all been assuming for the last couple months that he was just going to slide right in the 6th pick
to the Raiders,
to the Las Vegas Raiders. Now I've seen multiple reports.
The Jaguars.
And now I can understand here. I will say this. Travis Etienne has been a complete disappointment.
Oh, a total bust.
But I thought they had something with Tank Bigsby. So if they're going to really swing for the fences here, and they take Jeanty, wow.
Yeah, then they're looking at probably cutting ETN.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or see if somebody will give him a 7th round pick for him.
Maybe a bag of balls.
Yeah. They're saying new GM, going to make a power move early. New head coach, Duval.
Oh, dumbass.
Liam Cohen's going to want a weapon. An undisputed, unbelievable weapon to start off his tenure. I love the draft. Can you just tell how much I love this shit? I know this is the football geek coming out in us kids. I could see it. I could see Jaunty to Jacksonville. Blow up that backfield. It's not working. You've got to give Trevor Lawrence a last chance with as many possible weapons as you can. This is the last
season for Lawrence.
Here's something funny. Now, this is just off the rails. Do not take this seriously. But Grok, is that like the new hot search engine AI thing? I heard somebody talking about this Grok thing.
Hell if I know.
Like Google. It's like Google, I guess.
What the hell is Grok?
I don't know. Yeah, Google. What the hell is Grok? But they did an AI draft. Who would AI take? And they had like 4 quarterbacks in the top 10.
Don't.
They had Jacksonville taking a quarterback. No, that's not happening.
That's not going to happen.
Now, I'm not saying...
Next year, maybe.
Well, whenever they can get out from under that contract they just gave him.
Yeah.
But
we fucking told you that was a bad contract to give.
Yep. But yeah, they're stuck with Trevor Lawrence, and he does deserve one more year to start to show some improvement. You don't want to let go of a guy and have him turn into Baker Mayfield. Just keep that in mind.
But how long are you going to slit your own throat with a guy who's not doing it?
1 more year, like I said, 1 more year.
And how many years
is this? If you give him Ashton Jaunty, and he can't perform with the new offensive-minded head coach, then you start figuring out when can we cut bait on this guy.
So this will be his 3rd head coach.
Yeah, but the first, come on, you going to blame him for Urban Meyer?
No.
That's not his fault.
Urban Meyer was a disaster, but Doug Peterson had him for a couple of years, and no development at all.
No, that shocked me. That really did shock me. In the first year, they actually looked like they were moving forward, and then they took a massive step back. So we mentioned Armand Membo. Will he be the fallback pick for the Raiders? Will the Raiders trade out if they can't get Jaunty? I don't see them taking Shedeur Sanders.
I wouldn't think so, but who knows? Weird things are afoot. It's the draft. Anything can happen.
Now I'm gonna ask you this. We move on to the Jets at 7. And you've made fun of the Jets, obviously, rightfully so. I don't think this would be a bad pick in this mock draft we're looking at. This is, by the way, Yahoo's final mock draft we're looking at, just for the names. We
just want the top names.
Yeah. But here's what scares me. Ryan Poles loves tight ends.
I know he does.
And I'm almost begging the Jets to pull the trigger at 7 on Tyler Warren at a Penn State.
Just to get him out so we don't blow a couple of picks to move up 3 spots.
Or even just blow the 10th pick on him. Yeah. I don't want them to draft a tight end.
We don't need another damn tight end.
Figure out how to use Cole Kmet, okay?
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yes, Tyler Warren is a hell of a player. But we need to build depth on the offensive line.
In many other spots.
And the defensive line.
Many other more important needs than another goddamn tight end.
Exactly. We did some great moves in the offseason and free agency. This is where you get your next offensive tackle to develop. He can start, either it be, who is it, Campbell if he falls, or Membo, or perhaps...
Yes, the third guy
Kelvin
who has
Banks.
emerged here over the last few days, who's moved up the board as a third option for the Bears, thank God, is Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing a lot of the pundits, again, do we really believe in the pundits 100%? No.
No.
But they're saying, some of them are saying Banks is just as good as Campbell and Membo.
Yep. So that
So
would
now
not
that
be
makes
a
me
bad
feel
thing.
better. That if Campbell and Membo come off the board, at least we can fall back on Banks at 10 and
Yeah.
still get the offensive lineman that we need. And aren't you proud of me that I finally come around
Yes.
on this?
That you've realized that Genty is not going to be there.
Yes.
Now you still have
Well, then,
Carolina and New Orleans sitting there between the Jets and the Bears.
of course, yeah, Carolina's a wild card. I don't know what they're looking to improve because they need to improve everywhere.
Yeah. Best available potentially, they're looking at Jalen Walker, linebacker, edge rusher out of Georgia.
Yep. And then the Saints with Derek Carr's shoulder. Are they going to be the first one to pull the trigger on a quarterback after Cam Ward?
Do they go with Sanders or do they go with Jackson Dart?
Right.
Mock draft has them taking Dart.
Now, the one that's fallen a little bit, as we look at this particular mock, that I saw a lot higher a month or so ago, is at 11. They've got the 49ers. If this guy falls into the 49ers' lap, this is a huge get for them. Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan. I had multiple stories, multiple sources a month ago saying this guy was a top 6 pick.
Yeah. So now do the Bears think
I
this
know.
one?
I know. I was playing with this.
do we get
You just signed Grady Jarrett, but he's old. And there are some people out there who are saying this was the one free agent signing where you're kind of going,
But the Bears have four.
But he's a leader too.
He is. The Bears have, what was it, 4 of the first 75 picks. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah. Would I get really upset if they took Mason Graham? Absolutely not.
No, because we need help on that
I'm
defensive
looking
line
at
too.
again, we're looking at the players and the needs specifically for our team, the Bears. I look at the top 11, and if the Bears get one of those top 11 outside, of course, of the quarterbacks, I don't know if we need Jalen Walker. I would be happy if we got Graham. That's fine. Pair him with Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett might need a little bit more rest as he gets older.
Yeah.
We all do. I wouldn't hate that pick, but now that Kelvin Banks Jr. has entered the picture as a viable 1C, let's say,
Yeah.
1A Campbell, 1B Armand Membo, we need that final piece on the offensive line.
We do.
And I gotta believe now we've got a third potential player entering into the mix that it will be there at 10.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, the rest of the first round, the things that interest me about the rest of the first round, of course, how many quarterbacks? Are we going to see 4? Are we going to see 3? Are we going to see 2? How far is Shedeur Sanders going to drop?
Now Jackson Dart, from last I heard, isn't even planning on making the trip up to Green Bay.
No, he's not.
So.
Nope. There's now another guy who is actually moving way up. Jalen Milroe out of Alabama. They love his size. Last time I heard that was a certain quarterback out of Florida who currently is in a battle with Daniel Jones in Indianapolis. That would be one Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
So that doesn't impress me.
That doesn't impress me. I'm sorry. Milroe did not overly impress me during his tenure at Alabama.
No. No, but would it shock me if somebody is desperate and takes him in the late first round? No.
No, not at all.
I think you will see 4 quarterbacks go. I think you will see, of course, Cam Ward at 1, and at some point you will see, in any particular order, I don't know.
Yeah, who
Jackson
knows?
Dart, Shedeur Sanders, Jalen Milroe. Because the Steelers are going to draft, and by the way, fuck Aaron Rodgers.
I'm taking my time.
Retire.
Ooh,
Retire. I honestly hope that, and I'm 100% sure one of these 3 will be available for the Steelers at 21. Take the young quarterback.
Yeah.
I know you love Mason Rudolph. Let Mason Rudolph start the first month get the young quarterback acclimated.
Or if Mason's doing well, then let the young kid sit as long
Well,
as
of
he
course,
needs
if he's
to.
playing well, sure. But I'm saying, if Mason Rudolph comes out terrible, goes 0-4, you at least give the kid a month to learn the system
to watch how it is.
outside of training camp.
Yeah. Sit there, see the speed of the play instead of being thrown to the wolves.
Yeah. But I think those 4 names you're going to see in the first round, they're going to be called. It's going to be Cam Ward at number 1, and then in some order, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, and Shedeur Sanders. And then, of course, Dave and I have our own personal favorites. Later on in the second and third round, we're looking at. I did some research. I did some digging. Cam Skattebo.
Yes.
We might be able to get him in the third round.
Yes, projections.
I'm seeing a possibility that the Bears could get him in the third round. So he would be my fallback from Ashton Jaunty.
Yeah, I'm good with Skattebo.
Now, I know you love the wide receiver from Ohio State.
Igbuka?
Yeah. In this particular mock draft we're looking at, he's not in the first round. Another one I looked at, I believe, is Peter Schrager's. And Peter Schrager's very good at this. Hell of a lot better than
Kuiper.
Yeah. He says he's not making it out of the first round.
I wouldn't think he would.
Yeah. He's got him going in the 20s.
Yeah, we'll wait and see what happens.
Because there are some stupid general managers and owners, but they're not all stupid.
There's a few that are with it.
And when you mentioned him a week or two ago, I was like, yeah, I forgot all about him. That's an awesome sleeper
because he's
pick.
been under the radar. But every frickin' game I watched Ohio State play, he was the killer.
And that's the thing. We got to see them play a lot because they're the national champions.
Yes.
And plus,
for the last 2 years, that guy has been the killer.
Yeah.
You needed the big play. He always got open and made the big catch.
All right. We got to move on from this.
All right.
But one final sleeper. Don't laugh at me. I swear to you, this would be an awesome pick for the Bears. 5th or 6th round. Wide receiver out of Miami, Xavier Restrepo.
He's got some speed.
He is the all-time leading receiver from the U.
He's got good hands.
He would be a perfect slot guy. I mean, a perfect slot guy.
There we go.
I would not pass him up if he drops to the 5th round.
You got a guy playing the slot, and then you've
got
more.
The guy that never flourished. He's still in the league, and he's still making some bank, still earning, but he never turned out to be as great as I thought. Another guy similar to him, Braxton Berrios.
Yeah, he
had a cup of coffee in Miami, right?
Yeah,
for the Dolphins.
For whatever reason, he can't get on the same page with any quarterback.
He's a good returner, good special teams guy, but he never developed as a receiver.
He's pigeonholed as a special teamer. And there's no coordinator that's looking to use him in an expanded role as a wideout.
Restrepo is a receiver.
So there you go.
So that's just me personally. I saw a lot of Miami guys projected to be drafted. Just keep in mind, we'll not only have the number 1 pick, but we'll have many, many other players getting drafted. So the U is back, baby.
Maybe.
We will find out at the end of August.
Maybe.
When they play this little tiddlywink pity-ass team from South Bend, Indiana. Down at Hard Rock Stadium. Cannot wait.
It'll be fun.
The era of Carson Beck begins for 1 year.
God.
For 1 year.
Good luck with that.
You guys don't even know your best quarterback just left the program. By the way, we should bring that up.
Yep.
Our one
Steve
little
Angeli, the only quarterback with any starting experience for Notre Dame.
who you guys, everybody around here, because of course we record Sports Frenzy 2.0 outside.
In the shadows.
Yes.
But
everybody I have talked to, including you, everybody out there that I know.
we never should have had Riley Leonard last year. It should have been Steve Angeli.
Yeah, all my sources around here love Steve Angeli. And this is not
the way
good
he
news.
played in the bowl game after Hartman left showed he was ready to take the reins. And then you bring in Riley Leonard's legs, because it sure as hell wasn't his arm.
And this is just an aside. We're still sticking with the NFL. This is our one little college football headline of the week. But you bring up Riley Leonard, so we can come right back to the NFL. They are saying he might get drafted.
He's a backup.
Oh, come on.
Maybe.
Sam Hartman looked more NFL ready than Leonard does.
I know. And what is it? Hartman is now...
And Hartman had to sign as an undrafted...
gap model?
Yeah.
Or for a model for one of these...
Didn't he sign as an undrafted free agent?
Yeah, and couldn't catch on.
Yeah.
Riley Leonard is not getting drafted.
There are a lot of quarterbacks ahead of him. Even Quinn Ewers I would take before him.
Yeesh.
And what does that say? Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very, very, very weak quarterback class.
Yeah, and the kid, I know we said we're getting away from the draft, but the kid from Louisville, and I call him a kid, but
man?
Yeah. This is a similar situation to what we saw when we were younger with Chris Weinke.
Yeah, was it 25, 26?
Yeah, this kid, this guy is similar in age.
Yeah.
He's been around forever, and they're saying he's moving up the draft board.
Really? Who's saying he's moving up the draft board?
Again, yeah, you have to sift out the speculation and the bullshit. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not taking a 25-year-old quarterback.
No.
Give me, I want that piece of clay that I can mold that's 21, 22.
I think everybody learned their lesson with Weinke.
Yeah. I'd rather, because what I would rather have, the scenario we're seeing now throughout the league, and I mentioned it earlier, you draft the young quarterback, you do your best to mold him. Now, of course, you've drafted him because your team sucks. You drafted him high.
And you would hope you learned from the previous season's mistakes and put people around in the organization to fix those mistakes, unless you're the Bears, and then you're a year removed from being able to do that.
Well, there's a good example, by the way, of many that we're dealing with right now. I mentioned Daniel Jones earlier.
He's got a fresh start.
Yep.
Would
it shock you if he beats out Anthony Richardson?
Oh, hell no.
Anthony Richardson looks like trash.
And it's because there's nobody in Indy to work with him.
But we talked about the glorious reclamation project that is Baker Mayfield. How many teams did he go through before he finally landed on the team with the system that made him great?
Look at Sam Darnold. His fourth stop?
And then you mentioned the Bears. Justin Fields now.
He got screwed first year because they were stupid and kept the coaching staff in play for one season too long.
I just love this. This is like our precursor to the NFL season. We get to talk so much football this week and next week, and then we'll take it easy for a while. By the way, for those of you keeping track at home, today, if you did not get your email, my friend, Sports Frenzy 2025, the league is now open.
Oh, for the love of God and all that's holy.
So pick your most politically incorrect team name. Get it going, because we are open. Our wondrous 8-team league.
Aaron top, Kev bottom.
He's so proud of himself for that because he knows I've been rewatching the league. I'm thinking of going with Vinegar Strokes. But I would have to find the greatest orgasm face ever.
Oh, wait, no, he's actually having a stroke.
Yeah. It would be too easy to go with Yobagoya. Too easy.
It would, way too easy.
Yes. So, yeah.
Although I thought about it because I could take a picture of the glorious shirt that you got me for Christmas a few years back.
Speaking of which, he's pissing me off because he's wearing this awesome Van Halen shirt tonight that he got for $10. Only one left, Kev. I was going to buy you one if I could find one for you.
I did. I went through the entire
I know you would.
racks.
He would. He's got my back on that. I'm just mad that they only had the one. Because it's an awesome. I recognize the design. Awesome, classic David Lee Roth era Van Halen shirt.
Had to grab it up.
All right. A couple other little things to clean up with the NFL, and then we move on. The Hall of Fame game has been announced. Of course, the first preseason game of the year, played down in Canton, is the Chargers and the Lions.
Interesting.
Again, first preseason game of the year. The thing that sucks for these two teams is that this is an extra game for them.
Yeah, one more that they have to contend
Now,
with.
maybe the coaches like it because it gives them an extra game to evaluate.
It would be good for the Lions, who have new coordinators, to get a feel for who they have and what they can do.
And that was another, when it comes back to the draft, coming back to that again, this was the big speculated trade, was that the Lions were one of the teams discussing moving up to 3 with the Giants. They want to pair Abdul Carter with Aiden Hutchinson.
Good God.
Yeah.
That would be a hell of a tandem.
And we started on a somber note, and we're going to end the NFL talk on a dumbass note. I didn't want to leave it for the end. It's a little more serious than I would put in our Red Foreman segment at the end, but I almost want to say I told you so. I almost fucking told you so. Because I hear all these idiots on the radio pandering to Ocho Cinco and Shannon Sharpe about their podcast and how it's disgusting.
It's awful.
We're politically incorrect, okay? We will be as raunchy as we want to be, but there are certain lines we will not cross because we're actual decent human beings.
They're just vile.
They talk about their past sexual exploits. Do I need to hear about that?
No, nobody does.
And I've never been a fan of Shannon Sharpe. Never been. Great tight end, terrible human being. And I thought he was awful when he was doing commentary.
Oh, he was bad.
And then Ocho Cinco is just a waste of life.
Idiot.
Well, now things are coming back into focus. Now we're starting to see what kind of a vile, reprehensible man Shannon Sharpe is. Now, normally I don't like to delve into this because, again, I only play a lawyer on a podcast. But Shannon Sharpe is being sued for rape for $50 million. Now, my first question is, why isn't there a criminal investigation? Because it was recent. It was within the last few years.
Yep. And his accuser, who was supposedly 19 at the time this happened, he's got text messages from her describing what she wanted him to do to her and what she was going to do to him in their endeavors together.
Yeah, supposedly he was going to, I'm paraphrasing, but I'm close, ruin her for other men with the things he was going to do to her.
Yeah, and then the things she wanted done to her.
Yeah, and this is where
So he's got the text messages. So, and it kind of sounded like there were things that he had where he's kind of got some stuff where she may have said that she was going to come after him because they broke up or whatever.
This is why
this is the he said, she said.
And this is why we always qualify this on Sports Frenzy 2.0. We are not Fox. We are not CNN. We don't jump to conclusions. We don't side with one or the other.
There's been stuff coming out on both sides.
Ever since the Duke rape case, if you try to jump to conclusions, you're a fool.
Yes.
Because the media took a bath on that one. Where, the men have to be guilty. The men are pigs. The men are scum.
Not always, as we've seen.
Now, the thing that was going to put this in the dumbass of the week category, and again, I've decided not to do it. Yeah, you mentioned all the other stuff that calls
her into question too.
Makes her a little bit, her claims a little bit
questionable?
Yes. Came out today that Shannon Sharpe and his attorney confirmed they were willing to pay $10 million to make it go away.
Yeah, I did hear that.
Well,
if she was going to try and rape Kim through the coals, wanting to extort him for more, it's like, all right, let's do this and just be done with it. You want money? I don't know.
That's a lot. That's a lot of money, to go away money. That is a lot of go away money.
That's a
$10 million versus $50 million for your reputation. I mean, this is stupid money we're talking about here, kids, of course. Given what Dave and I make, what you make out there in podcast land.
Come on.
But at the same time, $10 million offer.
As old as he is, he should not have been doinking a 19-year-old.
$10 million offer. $10 million offer sounds a lot to me like guilt.
A little bit.
But again, I'm
but
with you.
He's where he shouldn't have been anyway.
Right. But this is where the podcast comes into play. When you're talking filth week in and week out.
What do you expect is going to happen?
How does that make you look? That makes you look terrible in a situation like this.
Because you were talking about her. Maybe not by name.
No. They won't do the name stuff.
But I'm sure you alluded to what you did with her, and that pissed her off.
And this is the fine line that you walk. Now, these are rich men we're talking about here.
Yeah, for stupid reasons.
You know, we talk some smack. Not only here, but on the weekend edition. Especially on the weekend edition.
And there's stuff we talk about not on on microphone.
Right.
There's some things that are just not recordable.
And like we've always said, we will apologize for being factually inaccurate. But our opinions are our opinions. And yes, they might sometimes get a little bit tawdry and a little bit rough, but they are truth as we see it. But we would never, ever, ever venture into the territory that these idiots do.
Ugh.
So I guess I'm just trying to say, you walk down this road, and then something like this happens with the rape accusation, should we be shocked?
No.
And I still think a $10 million settlement offer
reeks of, you
tells me that there
went
was
a little too far somewhere.
There. Yes, exactly. Something's there in the accusations. Something happened that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, like him doinking a 19-year-old.
He's just an ugly man, too. Big horse face. You know? I'm supposed to apologize for saying that. No, I'm not. He's an asshole. I never liked him. Never liked him. And he was doing the crap with the other idiot. It's Bayless, right? Bayless and him were doing
the...
Oh, Jesus. One of the dumbest sports shows ever.
One of the worst pairings
listening
ever.
to two blowhard idiots. One played the game, one, I don't even know if he's thrown a football in his life, acting like they're experts about anything and everything in life and in sports.
Yeah, what was it? Undisputed.
See, that's what you got us for. We are experts in sports and life and everything in between.
Because we fucking have to run it all.
All right, real quick, let's move on to baseball. Take this to heart, kids. Take this, run with it. We're 3.5 weeks into the season, right? So what kind of grand pronouncements in baseball can we make? Oh, wait.
The Rockies and the White Sox suck. Nothing new there.
I knew Dave was going to do this, and God bless him for it. He will put the Rockies in every conversation now when it comes to the White Sox. At least we're not the Rockies.
At least for now. Because the White Sox have won one more game than the Rockies.
And I'm going to tell you something. And I could end up going nuclear this weekend. I might have a stroke on Sunday afternoon.
You mean if
my goddamn Reds, my pick for the week in baseball, going in to play the Rockies, don't get me 3 wins. God help me if they only get 1 or 2. The worst team, I mean, yes, again, they're making the White Sox look good.
It's bad.
At the bottom of the barrel. If the Reds can't go in and kick the shit out of the Rockies this weekend, I am going to be so mad. I am going to be so mad.
Are you going to pull a Sam and quit?
You know I would never do that. I am going down with the ship. I'm your captain, and I'm feeling mighty sick. Oh, by the way, Grand Funk Railroad playing here later this year. I wanted to talk to you about that.
We'll see.
Now, the song you hate is American Woman, right?
Yes.
Not I'm an American Band.
No, I hate American Woman.
That's the Guess Who.
Yes. So Grand Funk is a good possibility.
Okay. Of course, that's a weekend edition discussion.
That's right. A prelude here on Spotify, Good Pods, Pocket Cast, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, Amazon, Audible, and iHeart Sports Frenzy, baby.
Yep, the weekend edition, your favorite politically incorrect pop culture commentary podcast, your weekend hangover cure, where we will review new music from LA Guns, their brand new album, Leopard Skin. We will also finally start continuing with our catch-up with Dark Winds. We will review Season 2 of Dark Winds. I will have a couple special Internet Hell recaps as we keep that going. And by the way, I did lose Internet again for another day.
Son of a bitch.
And of course, our featured movie review, Dave and I review Den of Thieves 2 Pantera, and we look back at a sleeper that I love. I don't know, Dave just watched it. We will find out how he feels about The Kid Detective. That was out about 5-6 years ago.
Yep.
So, that and more. John Sanford's Lethal Prey is our book review of the week. Tons of stuff.
Yep. I have another book, but I'm going to save it for next week. Because I don't have anything on tap right now.
You're not talking about Hap and Leonard, though.
No.
Let me catch up on Hap and Leonard.
No, I have for the following week.
Okay.
Blood Ties by Joe Nesbo.
Is that Harry Hole?
It's not a Harry Hole. It's a one-off.
Oh, okay. I still don't understand how he went with that name. That sounds
it's a
like
Scandinavian thing.
That sounds like a Ron Jeremy porn name. Is what it sounds like.
Her Harry Hole.
Yeah. Anyway, that last minute or two brought to you by the Weekend Edition. That's the kind of fun stuff, the pop culture, crudeness that you're going to get on the Weekend Edition. Now we come back to baseball. So the White Sox are 5-18
as of now.
They are in 5th place in the AL Central. They are 9 games back of the Tigers already. But again, like you said, could be the Rockies, could be worse.
Yeah, well, it got worse because One of their pitchers, Martin Perez, is gone for an indefinite period of time with a flexor tendon strain. They've ruled out Tommy John surgery for now, but the earliest that he could be back is September. So, one more arm gone, not counting, well, we mentioned a couple weeks ago, 6 White Sox pitchers underwent Tommy John surgery coming out of spring training. Idiots
And
don't know how
thing.
to pitch.
Here's the thing. Now that I finally think I have the internet thing fixed, I was able to do some research. And the pitching was not your problem.
No, pitching early on was pretty solid. We
As
couldn't
of
hit our
today-
way out of a barrel.
As of today, it's not even close. April the 23rd, the White Sox were last in Major League Baseball with a 201 batting average.
Yep, they are awful.
Now, that's
Minus 30 run differential now.
That's a wonderful segue into arguably the greatest offensive team in Major League Baseball, which would possibly be, maybe, the Chicago Cubs. 15-10, coming off an extraordinary come-from-behind victory last night against the LA Dodgers. And I love
And your buddy is the hero of the night.
I can't say anything anymore about him. I can't.
You can.
I can't.
You
No.
will.
No, he is, the last couple of weeks, he has finally started to come through. The one guy in the entire lineup who is not playing up to where he should be is Dansby Swanson.
Yeah, Swanson has been bad since he came. After his first year, he has gone downhill.
Everybody else is, Kyle Tucker is as advertised.
Tucker is fucking killing it.
And his price tag is just going up and
Cha-ching,
up and
cha-ching,
up and up.
cha-ching.
But even, Suzuki had a rough first week or so. He's fine now. Michael Bush is everybody in the lineup except for Swan. The thing that's blowing my mind about the lineup is the catching platoon.
They are
Carson,
rock
I looked
solid.
at this. Carson Kelly and, of course, Amaya hit the game-tying home run with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th last night, setting the stage for he who shall not be named to win the game in the 10th. But I looked at, if you take the catcher stats, Carson Kelly and Miguel Amaya, and put them together, because I think that's fair, because they're not
it's
both
out of the
playing,
position.
and they're not both playing. It's either one or the other.
Right.
Better numbers than Kyle Tucker. Home runs, RBIs,
There you go.
those two are tearing it up. And, of course, I cannot wait to do this one. This is for both you and I. We fucking told you so. PCA. Pete Crow Armstrong.
The kid is phenomenal.
I guarantee all these idiots, when I drafted my 2 fantasy teams, laughed at me. When I was jumping into the 11th or 10th round to take PCA.
He lasted into that deep.
He was not ranked that high at all. And I jumped on him in both leagues. Guess where he's ranked now? Pitchers, catchers combined. As of today, in Yahoo's fantasy rankings,
Top 10.
he's in the top 30. But that's pitchers and hitters combined. So that's every player in Major League Baseball. He's top 30.
There you go.
Which would have been a 3rd round pick.
Yeah. I'm telling you, that kid is special.
I just hate the fact he turned down the extension.
I know.
I hate that.
Well, they
And I know
lowballed
he's got an
him.
ego. He's got an ego, and he cares a lot about his quote-unquote brand. I don't like that, but he can play. And that is one of the greatest trades, even if it doesn't turn into anything in Cubs history. Getting rid of Javi Baez for Pete Crow
Oh my
Armstrong.
God, that was a steal.
Yes. Now, it didn't end up hurting the Mets in the long run. They're obviously flourishing right now. They're the best team in baseball. God damn it.
Yeah, it's early.
But, yeah, everybody in that Cubs lineup is smacking the ball, except, again, for Dansby Swanson. But again, 15-10, first place in the NL Central, and those pesky fucking Brewers.
Right on your ass.
Yep, game and a half back as they're playing great baseball as well.
They always do. That's why, I don't know if you saw
Pat Murphy's an unbelievable head coach.
Yeah.
Or unbelievable manager.
But that organization knows how to develop players. They are one of the top 5 teams who know how to develop players from the minors all the way up.
They're smart in who they sign. Yelich, now all of a sudden looking again like Christian Yelich, MVP.
Yeah.
And
Got through his injuries.
Why are the Mets doing so well? Because they poached the GM Stearns from the Brewers.
Yeah.
It's a solid, well-run organization. Yes,
Just
they
like the Rays.
Yeah, the Rays this year not that good.
No, but they're developing again.
Right. Yeah.
They've gotten rid of everybody, so they're starting over.
Yeah. Yeah. There are the Rockies, obviously, the White Sox, obviously. There are teams that could learn how to work within the constraints of a budget and still have some level of success.
But
like
it also
Brewers.
begins with developing through your minor leagues.
Well, that's what's killing the White Sox right now. That's obvious.
And
because you're not going to attract free agents.
Your GM, current GM, and Chris Getz had been your person in charge of minor league player development from 2017. He did nothing to get any of these guys ready to move up to the major leagues. Oh, he had an opportunity to build all the way through, so when they got to the majors, they knew what they were going to be doing. He failed miserably.
Well, look at
he got promoted for being a disaster.
Look at the last 15 years in Major League Baseball. And look at the Cubs, look at the Astros, look at the teams that hit rock bottom. And what did they do? They drafted well, they developed well, they brought up the young players. All of a sudden, the team started to show promise, and then they were able to attract the free agent pieces that they needed to fill out the roster.
The White Sox hit rock bottom a while back. They traded talent. They got the young guys. They all came up at once. They underperformed, even though they made it to the playoffs. That was only because Renteria was the manager who knew how to work with players. And that all went out the window when they let him go and brought fucking Tony La Russa in. And they've been on the downside since. And that's all because of their decrepit owner, Jerry Reinsdorf.
Yeah, they have got to figure out a way to develop some of these players because they're never going to attract free agents.
No. And why did you put the guy who failed as a player development person in charge of the whole organization? Absolute stupidity.
I'm not picking on the White Sox.
Oh, I am.
I'm just stating facts.
Yeah, and I am as well. The fact is, they are a shit-run organization.
And I'm just gonna be a little happy about the Cubs right now.
As you should be.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll last. I love, again, the fact they're going toe-to-toe with the Dodgers. That makes me very happy. I don't think the pitching staff for the Cubs is going to hold up.
No, you didn't do anything to work on the pitching.
No. With Steele gone now, they should be out there poaching.
Didn't do anything to step up the back end either.
Oh, what did I see this week?
And then your third base situation is cringy.
Well, I call that. And again, Alex Bregman having an awesome season so far but I was going to pay him $40 million.
No, but he's also leading everybody in errors too.
But did you hear that the Cubs, so desperate for bullpen help this past week, sent cash to the Seattle Mariners for Drew Pomerantz?
Oh.
Drew Pomerantz, from what I could tell, has not pitched in the major leagues in at least 3 years.
Ouch.
This is how desperate they are.
Ouch.
But I tell you, the one thing the Cubs fans should be happy about with this team, not only this is the offense we've been expecting for years, and it's finally coming to fruition. I guess Kyle Tucker was the missing piece. And PCA maturing. at least in terms of what he does on the field.
Yeah.
This is Craig Counsell's effect. David Ross wouldn't have had this kind of offensive output. Craig Counsell is not a bad manager.
No, he's
you
not.
just had to show some patience. There's a reason why he got the $8 million a year. This is it. The Cubs are fine now.
They're going to be all right.
Weak first year.
You had to get Hoyer. You had to get Jed Hoyer and Craig Counsell on the same page.
Right. Yep. And I guarantee you, if they are winning this division, even with the cheap-ass owner, Ricketts, if they're winning this division in the summer, in June and July, they will make moves.
Yeah.
They will. They will. They've got to get another starting pitcher. I mean, that's top number one priority.
They need to get somebody.
Yeah. All right. The NHL playoffs are in full swing, as with the NBA, so we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we will get on to NASCAR. First, the NHL. I'm just going to give you a real quick recap of where these series stand right now. Of course, the Blackhawks are not in it, so do we really care? The Florida Panthers are up 1-0 on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Washington Capitals up 1-0 on the Canadiens. Carolina Hurricanes up 2-0 on the New Jersey Devils. Toronto up 2-0 on the Ottawa Senators. The LA Kings up 1-0 on the Edmonton Oilers. Las Vegas Golden Knights and the Minnesota Wild even at 1.
So is Dallas and Colorado.
And that leaves us with the Winnipeg Jets up 2-0 on the Blues. I've always said, I respect the NHL, but I really don't get into this until we get closer to the finals.
Yeah.
Especially if the Blackhawks aren't involved. I mean, you're a much bigger Blackhawks fan than me, but I kind of look at them as my team as well, even though I don't know 10% of what you know. Now
it's still bad.
We move on to the NBA. Playoffs, of course, also in full effect. Those series are Oklahoma City obliterating the Memphis Grizzlies right now.
Good Lord, that first game, 50-point win. Ridiculous.
I'm telling you. You know my conspiracy theory. I've had it out there for weeks.
That they want to try and make it the Lakers-Celtics.
How the hell are you ever
going to not make it?
Yeah.
They are fucking on fire. That is a well-oiled machine.
Yes. That's why I'm saying, if the Thunder somehow don't make it, it's either going to be because of a devastating injury to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, or it's going to be a massive conspiracy.
Yes.
Now, speaking of the Lakers, the Timberwolves did beat them in Game 1. I loved seeing that. Now, the Lakers bounced back last night, so that one's even at 1-1. God help me, I would love to see the T-Wolves win that one.
That would be a glorious thing.
Shut LeBron and Luka up.
Oh, please.
The Clippers, here's the thing. The Clippers and the Nuggets are even at 1 game apiece. Kawhi Leonard is finally healthy. I got this love-hate thing with Kawhi Leonard.
I know.
When he is healthy, he is a Hall of Fame level player.
Yeah, but he cannot stay healthy.
Yeah.
And he will not play through a nagging injury. He won't play unless he's 100%.
Now, he has won with San Antonio. He has won with Toronto. If he is fully healthy right now, with
he can carry a team.
Him and James Harden with the beard, the Nuggets could be in trouble, especially because they decided to ditch their head coach.
That was a dumb move.
Even though they've got the best player, I think, in the league, with Jokic.
Yeah.
Then you've got, this blows my mind, the 2-seed Houston Rockets, underdogs, in terms of odds to win their series against the number 7 seed, yes, the Golden State Warriors. And they lost the first game.
Yep. Golden State took it to them.
So,
Golden State rises to the occasion.
Well, they're multiple-time champions.
Just win and get in.
And now they've got Jimmy Buckets. And he's another one. He's like Kawhi Leonard.
When he's
motivated.
When he's motivated to play, he's unstoppable.
Yep. And then, of course, you've got the Knicks. This one could be the upset special. The Detroit Pistons are playing physical, nasty basketball.
They're back to the bad boy type mentality.
Tom Thibodeau does not know how to deal with this. The Knicks and the Pistons are tied 1 game apiece. The Knicks, if it wasn't for a late run in game 1, would be down 2-0 with home court advantage. Yeah. They had home court advantage. They've lost it now.
Yes. Detroit getting back to the bad boy roots.
Remember where the Pistons were last year. I think they won 14 games last year.
They were bad. They cost Monty Williams' job.
Maybe Monty Williams is not the good head coach that we thought he was.
Maybe with all the tragedy in his personal life, maybe that took its toll, and he wasn't focused as he should have been.
Then, of course, we've got the Cavaliers up 1-0 on the Miami Heat. And then, again, this is kind of a local thing with our final series here. Now, we will not discuss the fact the Magic are going to get their asses handed to them by the Boston Celtics as they're down 1-0 and they play Game 2 tonight. Although Jason Tatum is out. Jason Tatum is going to miss his first playoff game ever.
2:22 to go in the third, and Boston's up 74-64. So there's your live update.
It doesn't surprise me. This is about what I expected after the injuries. Yeah. This is the best I could have hoped for. I'm not disappointed in the Magic.
No, they made the playoffs. There you go.
Yeah. And, again, they're missing their third best player, their fourth best player. The first, Banchero and Franz Wagner, were out weeks and weeks and weeks apiece.
Yeah.
This is what you get. But the Bucks and the Pacers, everybody was saying, oh, this is going to be a close series. Oh, Giannis. Now we got Damian Lillard coming back miraculously from his blood clots.
Yeah, isn't that convenient?
And somehow the Pacers have dominated.
Yep, they're up 2-0.
Here's the thing. Ward comes out. You want to add fuel to the fire?
Halliburton coming out and opening his mouth about the bad blood?
Well, it involves Halliburton, but not that. Tyrese Halliburton was in some kind of a poll involving, I believe, approximately 100 players, was voted the most overrated player in the NBA. I don't know. Rick Carlisle came out and went ballistic about that and said, why don't you cowards show your faces? Tell us who voted for Tyrese being the most overrated player. They're going to use this. Carlisle's a great head coach. He's going to use this as fire. He's going to use this as fire to keep the Pacers motivated.
Maybe Halliburton needs to use this because there are times where he disappears.
He did have a slow start to the season. Yes,
there are times where he does not perform up to his caliber of play.
But
I would not say he's the most overrated. There are so many other people.
Who had the guts to vote for LeBron? And who had the guts to vote for LeBron?
Yeah.
Because he, to me, is one of the most overrated players in the NBA. Street clothes as well, of course. And, of course, as Dave and I always have to point out to you people, because you let the media, put this glaze, this hypnotic glaze over your eyes.
Everybody's the best at this particular moment.
Or we always have to set a record.
Yeah.
Oh, the NBA, the playoffs are a massive hit, Dave. The opening weekend, up 17% over last year. The highest ratings in 25 years for opening weekend.
Right. I don't buy it.
Everything has got to set a new record. Everything.
No.
You think the government lies to you? Everybody lies to you.
Yeah.
The media lies to you. There is no possible way the NFL, the NBA, every sport
Not
We'll talk
everything is-
WrestleMania on the weekend edition. Everything's setting records.
Not everything is setting records.
At
Don't let
some
them bullshit you.
At some point, things level out or go down a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
So how could the NBA and WrestleMania both set viewership records
When they were on at the
when
same
they're
time.
on at the same damn time?
Yeah. I'm with you 100%. This is why you and I have to tell the people how to see through the bullshit. That's a great point. Last time I checked, there was WrestleMania Saturday, and then
WrestleMania Sunday.
Yeah. So they both set records? They both are setting records. The most watched opening weekend of the playoffs in 25 years, and the most watched WrestleMania ever.
That could be all the Chicago fans who don't have NHL.
Well, don't spoil it. I have got something coming
they don't
up
have
later.
the White
No,
Sox.
stop it! You're going into territory that I have us talking about later. Trust me. Trust me.
I'm just pointing out the obvious.
Trust me, young man. I have some numbers coming up at the end of the show this could be the first time ever I think we have ever called out an entire city for the dumbass of the week. All right, so now we come off of an off week in NASCAR. A rarity. Outside of the All-Star race, that's the only break the guys are going to get in the Cup Series. So, we do have picks.
We do.
We don't have a race recap for the Cup guys, but we do have one for the Xfinity Series because they went back to Rockingham.
Yep, back to the not the rocking horse, Rockingham.
And, of course, there was controversy because Jesse Love won the race.
Oh,
But
post-race inspection revealed.
Now, bear with me here. Usually I can deal with this stuff. We've had it in the past. We've had ballast issues, weight issues. There was a issue with the space between the trailing arm spacers and the shims that disqualified Jesse Love, gave the win to Sammy Smith. Now, Jesse Love is actually going to be racing in the Cup Series later this year.
Yeah, he's going to make his Cup debut later on for Richard Childress.
But by all accounts, everything went fantastically. Otherwise, at Rockingham in terms of the fans, the enthusiasm about being back. And then, of course, you get the inevitable speculation of,
will the Cup Series
the Cup Series? Well, there's so many dates, and we're limited on how many.
Yeah, take one of the damn races from Kansas City.
Yeah, I would say
Kansas.
I would say
Kansas.
You've got to look at the schedule and just pare away the doubles.
Yeah.
Anybody who's got two races,
really
slice them
think
off.
about it.
And then, of course, now they're saying that next year we're going back to Homestead, Miami for the championship race. Which, that track should not have two races.
No, it's a one-race facility.
But, of course, this is the start of the rotation, they say. But, of course, to make it as boring as humanly possible, which NASCAR loves to do, we're going to go from Phoenix, who's had the championship race for, most years recently, and then we're going to go back to the one that had it before. Why not go shake it up and go somewhere else?
You've got some other warm weather tracks. You could go to Vegas. You could go to Texas. You could put it in Charlotte. You have options.
Yeah. You go back to the
Mix it up.
The boring-ass Miami Homestead Speedway for the 2026 championship.
There you go. Let's make the Roval the championship race. Fuck it. Throw it all out the window.
Well, see, this is the thing. If they didn't have the ridiculous format that they have, and it was just straight points, you could put that race anywhere you wanted to because it wouldn't be a be-all, end-all, 4 drivers only.
Yeah. Oh, and if somebody wraps it up, the championship up, with 4 races to go, so be it. That's how it used to be.
Yeah. No. Old school fans like Dave and I, and a lot of the other people I know listening out there, didn't have a problem with the straight points championships.
I had no problem with Matt Kenseth winning a championship without winning a race.
Because he was unbelievably consistent. Unbelievably consistent. Ugh. But now you put Josh Berry, and I'm not trying to rip on Josh Berry, but last year Harrison Burton would be the perfect example.
Yeah.
Harrison Burton had no business
being in the final run.
Yeah.
No, that was just stupid.
That's the problem with the current system, the way it's set up.
Go
a win and
back.
you're in, that should not happen.
Go back. If you want to tweak the points to reward wins a little bit more, I'm fine with that.
But don't out and out say if you win a race.
Points, I'm fine with the stage points.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with stage points.
So, but knock the playoffs out. The playoffs were stupid. This in-season tournament championship bullshit.
I'd forgotten about that. Thank you.
Away.
Thank you, Dave. I'd forgotten completely about that until you mentioned
Just
it.
stop trying to mimic what everybody else is doing. Go back to what worked for you.
All right. Now, something that I hate to bring this up, and I know what our reaction is initially, because we talked about this last week. Here's the thing.
Oh, and
social media obviously is evil. Social media is a swamp. Social media is the death knell of society. So let me put this out there first as a follow-up to, again, a topic we discussed here last week. Anytime you've got nothing better to do in your fucking pathetic life than to threaten somebody's life because you don't like the way they do things, whether it's racing or playing football or
anything,
how they look at their locker at school, you're the one.
You're the problem.
You're the one who should be put down, not them. So I'm first off going to say this. People who are threatening Catherine Legge's life.
You need to take a long, hard look at yourself. Take yourself out back and beat yourself senseless.
That being said, I said this last week, and the death threat stuff is just pathetic
disgusting.
beyond all belief. And believe me, Dave and I, when we jumped into this 4 years ago, he and I discussed this. We dealt with this back when Sports Frenzy was on YouTube. And I always said, I'll take on any comers. You can say whatever you want about me.
Don't care.
Don't care. But there are people out there who take this to heart, and it hurts them. And that's not right. You shouldn't be doing this crap. And I won't say stuff outside of this podcast on social media. But if somebody comes at me, I'm going to fire right back, and I'm going to give you 110% back. But to pick on this poor woman, and I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite, but number one, to pick on this poor woman, death threats, unacceptable. You should be taken out back and beaten to hell. Now, that being said, she has no business on a track in NASCAR right now. She is awful. She is awful.
That was not a good car. That was thrown together at the last minute because the ride had.
I'm not saying it's her fault, but if she
shouldn't have been out there in subpar equipment.
It's the combination of the poor equipment, and she's not a good driver on this
NASCAR.
Level.
No. Yeah. She can drive an Indy car. She's shown that.
Right. Obviously.
She can drive an IMSA. She's a qualified race driver. Better than you fucking trolls can do.
Absolutely. And that's a great point. Don't criticize somebody for something you can't do. But I'm saying, between the poor equipment, between the fact that now this is 2 races, 1 Cup, 1 Xfinity, where she has caused nothing but chaos and problems. And now
this
she
one at
expands,
Rockingham
and she
wasn't completely her fault.
But now she expands her schedule, as we talked about last week.
Yeah.
You want to talk about
Doubling down.
implications for a championship for other drivers. They get wrapped up in her shit. They could end up losing enough points where they can't make the top 16.
Yeah.
Or make the cut.
Implications.
And I'm sorry. That's where I say, when you look at it analytically, she is messing up Xfinity and Cup Series races right now with the bad equipment and the fact she's not prepared to drive these cars right now. And I'm going to tell you, the hypocrisy of NASCAR. Remember Daytona at the beginning of the year? They told Mike Wallace, you can't drive Daytona because you haven't raced competitively in what, 3 years, 3 or 4 years?
It was longer than that.
But Mike Wallace has been in a Cup car before.
Yeah. And it's been 10 years since he had run.
You're telling me he wouldn't be better than what she's been putting out there? Come on.
But she's been in one of the cars more recently than he was.
No. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. She should not be in this car right now.
Anybody who is going to compete at that level needs to, before the season begins, be able to pass a test on different types of tracks. You need to show you can run at Talladega and maintain a minimum speed. Or a short track. Or any.
And draft.
Yeah, you need to show you can do this. And not be a tail end Charlie. You have to show a minimum
level of competency.
Yes. And if you can't do it, then you get in the fucking car and practice for a while before you make another attempt to qualify for your license to run at that level.
Again, you and I are gonna differ on this in terms of our opinion. You seem like you're sticking up for her
to an extent
in terms of her being better suited for these races this year than Mike Wallace was.
No,
and I say bullshit.
All I'm saying is
bullshit.
All I'm saying is she had been in one of the cars more recently than Wallace.
That doesn't mean she can.
I agree.
I could put Rusty Wallace in a goddamn Cup car right now, and he'd run better than she would. And Rusty Wallace hasn't been in a goddamn Cup car in, 15 years? 10, 15 years?
Yeah.
It's like
stupid.
riding for some of these drivers.
Stupid.
And here's the other thing. I hear stupid people comparing her to Danica Patrick. Danica Patrick was a competent driver. People didn't like the fact she didn't win, but she wasn't causing problems.
No, she was not causing issues.
She finished 20th. Okay, that puts her in the same class as Riley Herbst. You know, that doesn't mean she
was still finishing better than half the field.
Yes, but that's not the case with Catherine Legge.
She is not ready to run these cars.
No,
sorry, no. She's not prepared for it.
And I will say it for the second week in a row. You bastards won't let my girl, my future wife, my future ex,
You're not giving Haley Deegan a Cup ride yet.
No, which is just wrong. It's wrong. It breaks my heart. Because when we're married someday, I was hoping that I would be able to see her in the winner's circle in a Cup race.
You just want to sit on the pit box during the race.
I want to sit on her face. Is what I want to do.
You want her to sit on your face.
Either way works for me. Potato, man. Come on.
Oh. Hey.
But I guess if Catherine Leggy wants to
Lift a leggy.
yeah, there you go. Yeah. I'm not picky.
Hey, let's give it up for Smoke. Tony Stewart wins his first NHRA race this past weekend. So good for Smoke.
Yep. And then we had, of course, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Oscar Piastri won that. And then, of course, we have the announcement on the off week of the nominees for the 2026 NASCAR Hall of Fame. So just like we did last year, Dave and I are going to make our picks. Of course, we'll run down the entire ballot. The modern era ballot, we will pick 3.
Yep.
The Pioneer ballot, we will pick 1. And the Landmark Award, we will pick 1. Now, I'll run down real quick the names. Modern era ballot, Greg Biffle, Neil Bonnet, Tim Brewer, Jeff Burton, Kurt Busch, Randy Dorton, Harry Gant, Harry Hyde, Randy LaJoy, and Jack Sprague.
Yep. So, of those 3, both of us pick Neil Bonnet and Harry Gant.
Nod to the old school guys.
Yep.
Yes.
Now, when we get to our individual picks, I went with Jack Sprague.
And
3 Craftsman Truck Series championships.
And yeah, I mean the obvious recency bias, I guess would be the best way to put it, would lean you towards Greg Biffle and Jeff Burton. But I do have to admit, now I didn't pick those guys, but Kurt Busch, to me, if you win a Cup Series championship, I think you're a lock for the Hall of Fame.
Probably.
So,
and he did get a Daytona 500 win.
Yep, so I would take Kurt Busch over Jack Sprague. Now, the Pioneer ballot.
Both of us agree on Banjo Matthews.
Now, the nominees for that are Jake Elder.
It was close between Elder and Matthews.
You got Jake Elder, Ray Hendrick, Banjo Matthews, Larry Phillips, and Bob Wellborn. And then you have the Landmark Award, Alvin Hawkins, Lisa France Kennedy, Dr. Joseph Mattioli, Les Richter, and Humpy Wheeler.
Both of us, Humpy Wheeler by a landslide. With what he did for Charlotte Motor Speedway as general manager, I mean, come on. The guy was an innovator as a track promoter there.
Yeah, and I just refer to our previous discussion about Haley Deegan, and I think Humpy.
So,
it's appropriate.
We know where your mind
is. It's appropriate. Oh, it's in the gutter. It's so far in the gutter. So far in the gutter.
It's the dregs, the sludge that's at the bottom of the gutter.
So there you go, kids. Of course, Dave and I, again, should be running everything, so that's who should be in the NASCAR Hall of Fame for 2026. Now, NASCAR, of course, drags this out.
Oh, yeah, you're not going to find out until much later.
Yeah, and I think the ceremony is in, November or December?
It's crazy.
So that means we move on to, after a week off, our picks. Again, after internet hell for me, where we didn't get to do the podcast for a couple weeks. And by the way, Mrs. C doing very well.
Yep, after her back surgery.
Yes, Dave and I were probably going to miss each other for a week or two anyway. So in a cosmic karma type of way,
it kind of all worked out.
Yep. Race 10 of the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season.
And no, we're not picking Ricky Bobby at Talladega.
I love Wonder Bread. Ricky Bobby. Jack Links, I love this sponsor. I love me some Jack Links. Jack Links 500 from Talladega this Sunday, April the 27th, 2025. Super Speedway, it's a crapshoot.
8 panelists, 8 different picks.
I love it. I love it. And again, that's the way with the super speedway it probably should be, because guaranteed out of the 8 picks, I would say 6 are going to crash out.
Yep, 6 are definitely going to be involved in the big one. Hell, there's a good chance all of them will be caught up
in something at some point.
Yeah.
Who's got the best pit crew? Who can fix the car, repair the damage?
Or who's just going to fucking be lucky and snake through the carnage.
Right. That's why when it comes, I'm glad I have you as well, a sizable cushion right now.
Yes, we've got some points to play with.
So I'm trying to take the safest pick I can without burning a good driver, a first-tier driver, let's put it that way. And I think you're looking at it the same way.
Yeah, somebody that I can't quite trust anywhere else. So,
yep,
we're looking to survive.
So we'll start off, of course, selfishly with our picks.
Yep.
I am taking Austin Cindric. I love the way the past couple of years the Penske cars run at the super speedways.
Yeah, between Cindric, Logano, Blaney.
Yep.
They've got their drafting package figured out. They've got the horsepower.
And they work well together.
They do. They
when
can
they get
link
together.
up.
Yep. So that means that you're taking...
I'm going with Joey Logano.
Yep.
So I can't burn a Blaney here.
Yeah, Blaney's the best overall driver of those 3 Penske cars.
Yeah.
So you can use him somewhere else and get a better guarantee of good points.
Yes, I don't want to burn a Blaney here.
Right. Yeah. Although we'll be burning a couple Blaneys after the show. Just kidding! Just kidding. We don't do that.
Well, the elder statesman going with Chase Elliott.
That was my second pick. That was who I was going to go with if it wasn't for Cindric. But
you
and I talked about
elsewhere.
this. Yep.
Elsewhere.
Yep.
Bill, the Big Blue W, is going with William Byron.
Very successful at Daytona, obviously.
Yep. I've taken 2 Byrons already. I couldn't burn him this soon.
Agreed. Same with me. Jen is taking Kyle Busch. Nick is taking Ryan Blaney. There you go.
Doug.
And I believe, by the way, Nick is maxed out on Blaney now.
Already?
Yep.
Oof. That could come back.
Yep.
Doug going with Denny Hamlin. Runs well on the plate tracks. Better used elsewhere.
100% agree.
And then Aaron going with Ross Chastain. Not a bad pick.
No. Nope. Again, if you take the attitude that it's better to burn a second-tier driver at a track like this and hope for the best. I also was considering, even though I can never pull the trigger on the 2 super speedway guys who somehow seem
Dylan and Stenhouse.
Bubba and Stenhouse. Dylan I think's too far gone now.
Yeah, he's not been doing too well.
He hasn't been competitive in a while, but
Bubba
Stenhouse
Wallace
and
Ricky
Bubba.
Stenhouse.
Yep. Yeah, those the 2 sleepers at the super speedways that always seem to figure out a way
to
weasel through their carnage, the wreckage.
Yeah, and put themselves in a position.
So I would watch out for those 2 kids.
Yep. Alrighty then.
NCAA basketball, of course, the season is over. Once again.
And the transfer portal is absolutely decimating teams left and right.
Yep. Once again, for the last time, congratulations to the University of Florida. 2,499 Division I men's basketball players entered the 2025 transfer portal.
That's fucking ridiculous.
You want me to put that in perspective? That is 45% of all D1 players that were on rosters last season. 2,499 players.
This is destroying college athletics.
I got to be honest with you, Dave. I'm getting to the point where I feel like I'm yelling at a brick wall, and it's just bouncing back at me. Nobody's listening.
Yeah, nobody cares.
They will destroy college athletics, and then they'll end up blaming fans. They'll end up blaming everybody but themselves.
Yep. Whatever. We fucking told you so.
Lee Corso is retiring from College Gameday. He is going to do week 1. I believe you were the one that told me, even though I was hoping
He would do the Miami Notre Dame game on Sunday.
But he's going to do the Florida State Alabama game because he went to Florida
Rightly
State.
so. He played for Florida State.
Yeah. So, makes sense.
Because what was it that I had heard that he and Burt Reynolds played together at Florida State and were roommates?
Yeah, nobody wants to see Lee Corso naked on a bearskin run.
No. No. He cannot be accused of being a handsome man.
And here's the thing. I know I tend to rip on the announcers who try to showboat, but here's the thing. It depends on the context. It depends on where you do it and when you do it. Lee Corso doing it on a pregame show is fun. He's a doofus, but
he made game day more entertaining.
When I rip on these guys, it's the ones that do it during the game when we're now focused on the game itself. Corso's talking about it before the game happens, and he's having fun. He's out there with the students. He's putting on the heads, the mascot heads. But when you get a Gus Johnson or a Tony Romo who are ruining the game for you as you're watching it, those are the guys that I really hate.
Yeah, Corso made the pregame stuff fun.
And that's why, as much as a lot of people will hate me for saying it, everybody's been playing the sympathy card for years now with Dick Vitale. Dick Vitale was the guy who did this and ruined it. And I'm sorry to say it, but he's the one that made the in-game announcer a spectacle.
Yeah,
when the in-game announcer should not do anything to detract from the players and the game itself.
See, some people would say Madden was the same.
I know, but I never had a problem with Madden because Madden didn't go overboard. He did the boom, pop, bows. He made the sound effects, but
when he was breaking a play down,
he was a Super Bowl winning head football coach.
Yeah.
That bought him a little bit of wiggle room. Tony Romo never got to an NFC championship game. I don't know what the hell Dick Vitale did in his career.
I couldn't tell you. Just had an outstanding personality, baby.
In another example, we talked about basketball earlier. This is why people love Shaq and Charles and Kenny, is because they're doing this all pre and post game. Yeah. They're not distracting you from the game itself.
And they don't take themselves seriously.
No, Shaq, what was it in the last couple days? Had to leave the stage and go take a dump.
To the bathroom.
Because he's been taking olive oil. He's been heard that take olive oil, it helps ease
the transition,
ease the flow. Yeah,
when it hits, it hits.
Yeah. Yep.
Gotta go right now.
And then people, of course, were speculating about the studio bathrooms. Are they big enough for a guy like Shaq?
Do they have a super flush?
Yeah, has Shaq ever broken a toilet bowl before? It was terrible.
Terrible discussion.
And then Justin Thomas, good news for him on the PGA Tour, ends an approximately 3-year title drought by winning the RBC Heritage.
Good for him.
So, then we've got another major coming up in May. So May, June, July. We've still got 3 more. 3 more coming. Stay away, Tiger. Stay away. I don't want you. I got to put up with Rory. I don't need both of you two egomaniacs taking up all the camera time.
Yeah, Tiger can't because of his Achilles injury.
I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know. With the recovery times on these injuries anymore, I don't know. I just don't know. So I'm not ruling anything out.
This is true.
Because if it's going to make my viewing experience awful and uncomfortable,
then it'll happen.
It'll happen. He will rise, like some religious figure.
And miss the cut.
Oh, I am back. Hey, you're pretty cute. Give me your number. Oh, I'm back. I mentioned it last week. People root for the biggest dirtbags in the world.
I know,
Rory and Tiger, and I just don't understand it.
I don't.
I don't understand it. All right. That's going to do it for the main portion of the podcast. But, of course, as you know, we still have a little bit of business to take care of. Now, we started off the show with, of course, the terrible news about Mongo McMichael. This is normally the time in the podcast where we deal with moments of silence. So we have addressed that, but we did not talk about the passing of one of the most underrated sports broadcasters of all time. We just did our little discussion about what we like and what we don't like. This guy was class. This guy, especially as I recall working with Joe Theismann on Monday Night Football for ESPN, was phenomenal because he didn't take over the broadcast. He just let it breathe, and he just added to it as he felt necessary. And that was, again, the underrated Mike Patrick of ESPN.
Yep, you forget that he did it because he wasn't polarizing. He didn't draw attention to himself.
Yep.
He was solid, rock solid as a broadcaster.
Yeah, he was what you should aspire to be. You don't want to be Gus Johnson.
No.
And I don't care if Gus Johnson's the nicest guy in the world.
He's an awful commentator.
He has ruined college sports for me. Literally, I have said this before, I'll say it again, and I'll keep doing it until they both learn from their mistakes. I will mute him, and I will mute Tony Romo.
Amen.
And if it's a borderline game that I don't care about, I won't watch it.
Yep. Tune it out.
If it's a game I have to watch because it's a very important matchup on college or in the pros, I will mute it. I'll watch it, but I'll mute it.
Just watch it without any commentary.
Yep. But yeah, Mike Patrick was a professional. Yes, absolutely. So thoughts and prayers to Mike Patrick. It's too bad that ESPN can't learn a lesson from a guy like this that they had in their fold for so long and teach the younger commentators, this is the guy you want to be like.
This is the way to do it.
This is what you aspire to. But then they see what Tony Romo's getting paid, and they go, oh, why would I want to be Mike Patrick when I can be Tony Romo?
Because nobody likes Tony Romo.
All right. I after playing catch-up last week with all the dumbasses, I was very restrained this week. So
we pivot to find out the winner of the Golden Boot in the Ass.
Only three. Only three here and only three in the weekend edition coming up this Saturday morning, your Saturday morning hangover cure. So, Dave should be very happy.
Makes it easy.
Let's go with the one that I've already kind of given you a little bit foreshadowing on. Yes. And I don't like to do that to your Uncle Dave. But again, with only three, I was like, dude, come on, man. Don't ruin one of the three for me.
Dude, I was on a roll. I was explaining to you how these numbers could have been pumped up.
Yes, arguably, I did not look back over the past 4 years, but arguably the first time ever where we are calling out an entire city as the Red Foreman Dumbass of the Week. Because I saw these numbers and it blew me away. The city of Chicago is one of our nominees for the Red Foreman Dumbasses of the Week because Out of the 12 cities in the United States that have at least one each of the big four teams, NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball, NFL, Chicago is the only one of those 12 cities that has not won a playoff series or in the NFL won a playoff game since 2017.
Oof.
And it gets worse. It gets worse. To make matters worse, not only has Chicago not won a playoff series or an NFL playoff game since 2017, by the way, last team to do it, the Chicago Cubs.
2016.
No, they did win a divisional round in 2017.
Divisional round, yes, sorry.
Yep. But this makes it seem so much worse. If you go through the last 2 years, I believe this takes us back to the beginning of 2023. The other 11 cities that have at least one Big Four sports team, all those other 11 cities, their teams, at least in one of those sports, either won a championship or made it to that sport's Final Four.
Ouch.
And Chicago hasn't even won a single series, or in the NFL's case, this is what's tricky, because you can't say hasn't won a playoff game.
Right.
Because, of course, baseball, basketball, hockey, it's a series. Football, it's a one and done.
It's a one and done. You got to go series or NFL playoff game.
But every other city
has made it to the Final Four or won a championship.
Yeah. That's how pathetic.
That's bad. That is awful.
And you're not even taking into account the fact that Chicago's got a little bit of an edge and they've got 2 baseball teams.
Yeah, that's the sad piece.
So they've actually got five teams competing in this.
Ugh.
Way to go, Chicago. Way to go. Now, this guy I hate, so this is going to be no surprise. But he loves to make everything political. I tried to stay away from politics this week. I did, as best as I could. But despite the fact that he should be celebrated to some extent, because I believe he won his 100th playoff game as a head coach this past week, Steve Kerr had to make everything all about politics.
And just talk about the game.
He had to show up at a press conference for the Golden State Warriors wearing a Harvard shirt in protest to the fact that the president is trying to cut their funding because of the whole, I can't keep track anymore. Is it DEI? Is it Israel-Palestine? I don't know.
Yes.
For something.
All of the above.
Yeah.
Harvard is too big for their own good.
But here's the thing. Steve Kerr is such a little bitch.
He is.
And I know he's got the tragic past, which he loves to play off of.
Every chance he gets.
His parents were killed overseas. Father.
Just talk about the game. You're not a politician.
Him and Popovich. That's why I can't stand him. Despite the fact
talk about the game.
Their records say otherwise. I can't stand it how they always turn it around and try to make it about them. They're like the Green Day of the NBA.
Yeah. If you're that concerned, stop coaching and get involved and run for office.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what I would hope a simple message you guys get out of this, whether it's the sports edition or the weekend edition, when we get into stuff like this, all we're trying to tell you,
shut up and do your job.
You get a vote. Vote, move on. You don't have the right to tell Dave or I how to think. We don't have the right to tell you how to think. Move on to other stuff. Stop spending your time.
Shut up and play the game. In the entertainment industry, shut up and entertain me.
All right, so our third dumbass, let's have a little fun. So, you know, we brought the politics in, so let's get away from that. This is one of the few times you're ever going to hear us talk about soccer. Now, they built this brand new, beautiful stadium over the pond, as they say, for Everton, the Everton Football Club, Everton FC. And when you open a new stadium, a nice new, I think it seats over 50,000 people. Saw pictures, it looks beautiful, as all new stadiums do before people start pissing in the concourse.
Right. Puking in the stands.
Yeah.
And
But they usually have a couple what they call dry runs, right? They'll have smaller events there to see if...
Make sure that the toilets flush, that the concessions all work.
Perfect, yes, exactly. So
that security, you can get people in and out. The traffic flow is fine.
Yep, perfect. So on the first test event...
You said testy.
So for this stadium, for the Everton Football Club, the first test event... There was a 62-year-old man who ended up getting banned for life. Do you want to know why? You want to know why, Dave?
Why did this 62-year-old get banned for life?
This 62-year-old Everton Football Club fan who attended this testy event.
Did he drop trow and show off his testy and wanger?
It's actually pathetic in how sad and pedestrian it is. It's nothing overtly gross. He got a lifetime ban from the new stadium at the first test event because the cameras over the concession stand, and it went, of course, into social media, caught him stealing $15 worth of chicken strips. He ordered the chicken strips and then told the person waiting on him, "Oh, could I also get a black coffee?" And they turned around
to get the coffee,
and he took
off.
All on camera.
Idiot.
So he is now banned for life for stealing. Now, of course, it's not. It's approximately $15 because that's American money.
Yeah.
Yes, whatever the pounds or the
the
shillings
like
or
16 pounds
whatever.
probably.
Yeah, I don't know how you convert that shit. Euros or whatever.
Oh my god.
But yeah, it was for Americans, $15 worth of chicken strips.
And you're banned for life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Before the stadium really officially even opened.
That's pretty pathetic.
So your three dumbasses, Dave, are the chicken strip thief at the new Everton Stadium, Steve Kerr and his stupid-ass political statement, or the city of Chicago for right now their current
sports ineptitude.
Professional sports ineptitude.
Kerr's a regular. We rip on Chicago ineptitude all the time. It's got to go to the chicken strip bandit for getting a lifetime ban for something so stupid.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But I got to tell you, when I looked at the numbers
for Chicago, we know it. I
know,
live
but
every day.
This is beyond embarrassing for the city. I mean, this tells you that every single franchise in that city has got some monumental issue.
And it usually comes down to ownership, which we talk about week in and week out.
But what? But you're embarrassing yourself in front of the entire country.
You're just seeing it now by the numbers, which we knew.
Every city has a dry run, right? But this is ridiculous.
Is of epic proportions.
Yes, so I have to go with Chicago.
All right, there you go.
All right, kids, we hope you enjoyed it. That felt better after a week of getting back in the flow last week. That felt like that was a much more cohesive...
flow down the gutter.
Yep.
I'm sure it flowed better than Shaq.
Terrible. Terrible.
It all cycles around and flushes in the same direction.
Oh, he's your Uncle Dave, the Conquistador, Dave Height.
That's your Uncle Kev, the Maestro Kevin Crane.
And we, of course, love you and adore you, and we hope you will be back with us again next Thursday morning.
Or Saturday morning for your hangover cure.
Yep. And I did mean to mention, by the way, I have seen some encouraging things about us getting on YouTube. So it's possible next week. Next week, the podcast.
Chongo.
The podcast might be available on YouTube. I have seen they might have dialed back their requirements.
Oh, they're not going to be so Gestapo-esque?
Yeah, they don't need a vial of your blood and you to sign over your firstborn anymore.
That's a good thing.
But we'll see. I will delve in. My accounts are already set up. They were set up a while back before I realized I had to lop off 3 of my fingers and send them to Google. So I would love to be able to get this out there to more people. Not that, of course, you beautiful, awesome core audience that we have aren't enough.
We want to enthrall the masses.
Yes, with our wisdom and our wit, and of course the fact that we should be running everything.
There you go.
But until next week, of course, the draft recap next week. You do not want to miss that. As Sam and Dave and I will be together tomorrow night to analyze the draft, we will pass along next week on this podcast our insight. Last year was great because that Michael Penix deal was
my God,
blew us away. That was one of the greatest moments in draft history.
I think we were dancing like little school ballerinas.
Because not only did it help the Bears, but it broke up the boredom. Because sometimes, yes, the draft can be boring.
Yep.
I don't think this one's going to be.
Discussion.
I don't think this one's going to be boring.
No,
I think there's going to be some very interesting things happening.
There's going to be trades this year.
Yep.
Because, as I've heard it put, this isn't a star draft. This is a starter draft.
Yep.
You can get some really solid starters out of this draft. You're not going to get any superstars.
And I do think last year's draft, how do I say this, is going to ruin this year's draft. Because we had 6 quarterbacks taken in the first half of the draft last year. And for the most part, we're seeing success. Maybe J.J. McCarthy is the one that we're still
don't know yet.
Really fudging about. But Penix limited looked good, and now he's taken over. I still think Caleb Williams is going to be a stud.
He's
obviously
now has the developmental people around him.
Right. Jaden Daniels obviously already a big hit right out of the gate. Drake May looks like he's going to be good. So, and Bo Nix. I mean, Bo Nix shocked everybody with how good he was. So, I think what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of arrogant GMs and owners think they can do the same thing this year. And I'm telling you.
No, you can't. You do not have the talent.
Outside of Cam Ward.
The talent level is not there this year.
This is going to be, remember the year that you only had the one quarterback drafted and it was Kenny Pickett in the first round? This is going to fall a little bit better than that.
But not by much.
Outside of Cam, not that much. But again, we love you. Glad to be back. Everything up and running is normal. So don't forget to check us out every Thursday morning and the Weekend Hangover Cure every Saturday morning. Say goodnight to the kids, Dave.
Good night to the kids, Dave.